Hey, what's up, guys? Getting on Campionato TV here, and I just wanted to come on and talk about Italian football, specifically the Italian national team and Serie A teams, et cetera, et cetera. Um, the news I hear from Italy, and I could be wrong. Maybe the news I'm reading is that there's Italians leaving Italy because they want a better job or make more money or something, and also that many of the young generation in Italy, they're not interested in having families, or they're not interested in having kids. And if you talk to somebody, they somebody that likes soccer, they start to think, well, how is the Italian national team going to be sustainable? I always hear about this population decrease in the next 20, 30 years in Italy. And where are these soccer players, the Italian soccer players, going to come from? And I think one could think that this is not a good sign, and it's how is the Thai national team going to get better if we don't have young players being born and developed, and if we don't have players playing in the Serie A. Um, I don't know, because I don't I'm not where I don't work for the Italian football federation, or I don't and I'm not I don't work for any Serie A clubs or any high level people in Italian football, but um, obviously that issue needs to be fixed in the country, and it needs to be fixed, and that's something the government needs to hopefully work on, and they're working on making better jobs for people, and hopefully they're going to work on building new stadiums for all our teams, which creates money for the country, and in taxes, and it creates jobs for people, interesting jobs that people want to do, and the clubs grow, and maybe some other jobs open up in the clubs. So the government needs to help with that. And I know you guys are probably all sitting there and you're like, oh, we already know this, Angelo, this and that. But I just want to reiterate it, that this is something the government needs to address, because the population, if my information is right, will shrink. And where are these soccer players going to come from to play in Serie A? Where are these soccer players going to come from to play on the Thai national team? So the government, their local and the national government, they need to help with this stuff, to keep young people living in Italy, um, for many reasons, not just for soccer, but for many reasons. You know what I mean? But since I'm a Italian football page, I'm also, I love Italy, and like I've told you guys all the time, my grandfather in Italy used to say, "Angelo, tu sei un italiano venduto." I really am, and I know there's so many of you guys out there just like me, that you love Italy, and you were born in another country, and it was not no choice of yours. I know there's so many of you people out there. I know. Share this video. Share it. We all need to work together for Italy and for our football. Um, One thing I think that the Italian Federation, Gravina, whoever's in charge, I know Gattuso, he's a national team coach. I know that they got the Bonucci and Barzali and these guys, ex-international players involved over there, and for the Serie A club. And one thing that I think that these Italian football organizations need to do is, I think, and I could be wrong, you guys are missing in the mark on players that could be playing for Serie A clubs and the Italian national team. I know my parents are from Italy. I'm the first generation in here in the United States. Legally, I'm Italian. I was born from Italian people that were born in Italy, and I'm Italian. Um, I think that the Italian Football Federation and the Italian Serie A clubs, I know that Serie A, they have a Serie A elite where they come to, they've come to America. I don't know if they're in other countries, but they're doing like clinics and trying to find players to bring them to Italy. But it's not, I don't believe it's solely, like Italian players. But I believe that the Italian Football Federation, you're missing a lot of talent that could be coming to Italy and helping out the Italian national team. I know that when I was younger, I dreamt that I could wear the Italian national team jersey, that I could wear a Serie A jersey. And there is no pathway for that. There is no pathway whatsoever. Now, like I said, the Serie A, they have the Serie A Elite where they go to different, places in America, and kids, they could go to a clinic, and then if they're good enough, they could, go play, at their club, at their institution in Italy, and then if they're really good, then they could hopefully get a contract to play on a Serie A team. But these are not solely Italian players. They're, could be American, they could be some other nationality. But what I'm talking about is the Italian Football Federation. I think that you need to invest money in other countries. And I'll give you an example. I did some research over here and I got it written down. People that were born in Italy that moved to different countries, they moved out of Italy, in Argentina, Germany, Switzerland, France, Brazil, United Kingdom, United States, Australia, Canada, Belgium. I'll give you an example. There's 2.3 million people not in Italy that come from, there's 2.3 million people outside of Italy. And these numbers, they're just rough information I found online. I'm not saying exact, but according to that I got, there's 2.3 million people that live outside of Italy, that they were born from Italians that are from Italy. So to me, that's still an Italian citizen. Maybe they don't got the paperwork in place, but that is still an Italian citizen. In Argentina, it says over here, there's 900,000 people that are from Italians from Italy that live in Argentina. In Germany, there's 540,000. In Switzerland, there's 390,000. In France, 280. In Brazil, 500,000. In United Kingdom, 250,000. In United States, 280,000. Australia, 230,000. Canada, 150,000. Belgium, 100,000. These are people that were born in another country that their parents are from Italy, or they have a parent that's from Italy. That, to me, that's an Italian person, especially if both the parents are from Italy. So I'm all for, we want to keep our Italian team Italian. It's got to be, both the parents from Italy. I don't know what the numbers are of all these people. This 2.3 million people here that they were born from Italians. I don't know how many of those both the parents were Italian, but let's say half. That's 1 million people. That's 1 million people. You know how many Angelos there are in there that would die to play for the Italian national team, that would die to play for Serie A clubs? I think we're missing the mark here, guys. I think that the Italian Football Federation needs to do some research and send some scouts and clinics to these areas where there's a high influx of these people, and find these players at 11 years old, at 10 years old, whatever they think is the right age to start getting a player and to, cultivate them and develop them. We've been doing this. We have teams, Juventus, Torino, all these teams. We have teams. We've been playing soccer for over 100 years over here. We know we have the best coaches in the world. If we don't have, if there's less people, young people in Italy, guess what? There's going to be less soccer players. We got to come up with another strategy. We need to go to other countries where these Italians, they move to, and we got to find their kids, young kids, and scout them and bring them to Italy, and help them help the Italian national team, because that's what they are. They're from Italy. They're Italians. So that's what I wanted to come on here to say, that I think that the Italian Football Federation, they need to, obviously, we want to give the youth in Italy all the chance in the world and stuff like that. I'm all for, helping the youth in Italy, but if the people aren't having kids and people are moving out, you don't have a lot of numbers. And why can't we look at other Italians, like people like myself? My parents both from Italy. You know how many people there are like me, younger, that are in these different countries? I'm Italian here. Maybe I was born in the United States, but I'm Italian. My mind, my views, everything, it's Italian. We need to be finding these players and identifying them. Okay, you don't want to bring them to Italy and give them some kind of, deal. Then, identify them and then monitor them, right? Monitor them. What about this players, Giuseppe Rossi? You know how many Giuseppe Rossis there are in America, probably? I remember when I was younger, I'm 42 years old right now. When I was younger, I used to play with some kids soccer. One of them, they went to Italy. They played in Foggia. The guy was phenomenal. Maybe he didn't have the right connections or the right people to go talk to help develop him further. We can't leave these players in these countries to get ruined. I'm a perfect example of that. I'm not saying I would have been a professional soccer player, but they don't know how to train people over here. They're looking for, mostly interested in the pay to play, to make money in the United States. How many players are getting ruined because they don't have the right coaches and the right development in the United States and all these other countries? I said, these numbers, they may not even be right. They may be more. I know that there's a lot of Italians in the Northeast over here in the United States. We need to be targeting these guys. We need to get information from these countries. The people that are that have moved in these countries from Italy, they married another Italian that's from Italy or whatever. They moved with their wife to have clinics in these countries. I don't think you'll be, prejudiced or anything like that. We're having Italian, find places around the world that have a high influx of Italians, like Vero Italiano, New York, the Northeast, and say, listen, we're looking for, this is a serious clinic. We're going to be here for a week. We're looking for the best talent. You have to be Italian, be able to get Italian, Vero Italiano. I know they just passed a law. They were trying to pass a law in Italy that, to become an Italian citizen, if you had to be there for 5 years or 10 years, and the state of 10 years, I don't like this whole, you have the USA over here. I always hear from these, these influencers, oh, we need to go find the next, dual national. I don't want that for Italy. I want Vero Italianos. I consider myself a Vero Italiano. Maybe somebody in Italy, they don't consider me, but I am. My blood is 100% Italian. And there's many more out there that are phenomenal, talented people. They just need an opportunity and a pathway, not to be left in these bullshit freaking youth soccer teams and stuff over here in the countries they live in, that they're not developing. You're looking for money or whatever. They got some ulterior motive. This is what we need to be doing, guys. I don't think this is a big investment. I don't think this costs, trillions of dollars. Finding these areas, a high influx of Italians, and going to, scout them and keep tabs on them. I told you, we've had them. Giuseppe Rossi, he's from New Jersey. How many of those guys are over here? He went to go to Italy early, and he grew up, and he played on Manchester United, Villarreal. He played on the Italian national team, played on Parma, he played on Fiorentina. How many of more of those guys are there? How many more? And now I know we got this guy over there, Coglioscio. He plays for the youth Italian team. He's from Connecticut. How many more of these guys are out there? Why are we wasting them? We need to go find them. We got to open our mind. We can't have this closed loop that only, we got to get, players, there's Italians outside of Italy, millions of them. Vero Italianos, the parents are from Italy, the thoroughbred. So, anyways, I just wanted to come on today. Hopefully, the Italian Football Federation sees this. I will be the first one in the Northeast to help you guys out, and if you needed help. But this is something that I've been thinking about for a long time. Why we're not taking advantage. All the, you come to the United States, right? And I'm not trying to, talk, poorly about the United States, but who do you think built the United States? People from other countries. Why can't those countries that the people left get their people back to help out in either working or on the football or whatever? So, anyways, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think. That's a very big pool of players, millions of players. Argentina, that's another one. Argentina, 900,000 people. Most of the players on the Argentinian national team, they're freaking from Italian descent. Go find those guys in Argentina. Or build networks. Or go there. Have clinics. Do mass, marketing. Go to the Northeast in the United States. I'm not saying go into every state in the United States, but find these places that have a large influx and go and do a camp. Stay there for 2-3 weeks. Find the players. Identify them. Keep tabs on them. That's what we need. We need somebody in our youth sector to be doing this. There's a freaking lot of Italians out there that should be considered. Like I said, if those guys in Italy are not hungry enough to play for the Italian national team jersey, I know that if I was given the right training in physical fitness, I would have freaking died on that field over there to defend that jersey. So, anyways, sorry about the background over here. There's some, kids playing over here. But let me know what you guys think. Hopefully, I'm heard. I'm here to help. Campionato TV. You can find me on Instagram. Subscribe to my channel. Let's build a movement. We can't do this alone. If you guys are gonna have this mentality, like, that, oh yeah, nothing's gonna change. Nothing ever will change. I've been fighting this fight for a long time, and I'm not gonna quit. So, anyway, subscribe to my channel, guys. And I'll say it again, I don't do this, to make any money, because I don't make any money. It costs me money. Subscribe to my channel, help the cause. I'm continue to, promote our football. We gotta do something, guys. We gotta do something. So subscribe, and I'll see you guys. Have a good rest of the weekend.